It's Friday, June 27th, 2025. Welcome to episode 160 of the Alameda Postcast, an audio service of the Alameda Post. I'm your host, Scott Peeler. In this edition of the Postcast, City Council approves the Pacific Fusion purchase. A would-be entrepreneur makes a pitch for land that's already spoken for. The city pushes back on Port of Oakland's Turning Basin project. The name is revealed for the Alameda High Scoreboard. The Prosecution and Public Rights Unit reflects on 2024. A stronger than usual Alameda connection for Pixar's latest. Events for the weekend, and yours truly tries out a couple of recent island favorites. These stories and more on this episode of the Alameda Postcast. Our top story. During its meeting on June 17th, City Council approved a purchase option agreement that allows Pacific Fusion and its development partner Hines to purchase a 13-acre site on Alameda Point for the development of a nuclear fusion research and demonstration facility. As outlined in episode 158, the proposed 220,000 square foot research and development facility could result in 250 jobs and $1.1 million a year in future tax revenue. To assuage the safety concerns that some have voiced, a third-party review of health risks was conducted. The conclusion, even in a worst-case scenario, any tritium exposure would be within the safety thresholds of both the EPA and the California Department of Public Health. Essentially, the radiation levels involved are similar to what you would find at a hospital or university. Under the terms of the purchase option, Pacific Fusion and Hines will meet the purchase price of $28.9 million by delivering a backbone infrastructure package of roadway improvements and connections to existing sewer, stormwater, and electrical infrastructure around the project site, a strategy intended to catalyze future commercial development at the Enterprise District. Additional provisions encourage the timely delivery of the project and provide terms for cost overruns. The purchase option passed on a 4-1 vote, with Tony Dasog dissenting. Pacific Fusion will undertake an entitlements process as it continues to consider Alameda and Livermore as finalists to site its new facility. The company expects to decide between the two later this year. Details, including a project sitemap, are in Ken Durr's article at alamedapost.com/news. Speaking of Alameda Point, self-described, quote, broke startup founder, end quote, James Ingalanera recently posted a 13-minute video on YouTube calling on the president to declare a state of emergency so Ingalanera's newly formed company Frontier Valley could take control of 512 acres on the former base to create a deregulated tech city in the vein of the administration's concept of a freedom city. Needless to say, this caught a few people off guard, including the city, particularly since pretty much all of the land Ingalanera wants to take over is already spoken for, most notably as a nature reserve. Plus, there are other plans already in the works for the area. The Department of Veterans Affairs owns 624 acres on the point and plans to build a 158,000 square foot medical facility, a columbarium, and a VA service center there. Also a 58-acre open space park being created there. Mayor Marilyn Ezzy Ashcraft referred to Ingalanera's plan as a, quote, head-scratcher, end quote, and noted that no one from Frontier Valley had contacted the city. As far as the promotional video on YouTube, it currently has 11 likes, and commenting has been disabled. Take a look for yourself at alamedapost.com/news. Back to planners actually following procedures. Earlier this month, the Port of Oakland released its 630-page final environmental report on its proposed Turning Basin's widening project, which is designed to widen both the inner and outer harbor turning basins at the Oakland Seaport. Project expected to be considered for approval by the Board of Port Commissioners on July 10th. The inner turning basin is in the estuary, essentially in between Estuary Park on the Alameda side and Schnitzer Steel Radius Recycling on the Oakland side. With modern ships being longer than the current turning basin was designed for, handling these craft has become more difficult. On July 1st, Alameda City Council will be discussing the project in closed session. In December of 23, following an earlier draft environmental report, the city sent its initial comment letter, all of 110 pages with exhibits and attachments, which stated, quote, although our partnership with the Port and the Army Corps of Engineers is crucial, the city of Alameda is compelled to take an assertive stance against the project unless its concerns are adequately addressed, end quote. Those concerns are basically the sheer scope of the project, which would involve having 6 acres of Alameda land removed, cutting into Estuary Park area, and includes 200,000 square feet of maritime commercial building. Meanwhile, Schnitzer Steel would remain untouched. One counterproposal, taking advantage of the Howard Terminal facilities, now the A's of Skiptown, and are no longer looking to develop a waterfront park. You can download the reports and the city's response, as well as see a map of the proposed widening area at alamedapost.com/news. During its final meeting of the 2024-2025 school year on Tuesday the 24th, the Alameda Unified School District Board of Education approved the naming of the Alameda High School scoreboard in honor of Richard Bullock Sr. Back in May, the board heard a community proposal to name the scoreboard in the new gym after Richard, an Alameda native with a lifelong involvement in playing and coaching local sports. The design includes an ad panel that will be installed on the scoreboard with the words "Voice of the Hornets" and "In Memory of Richard Bullock Sr." Total cost of the project, $2,750, to be funded by donations to the Alameda High School Athletic Boosters Club. Board Clerk Heather Little reflected emotionally on her one regret about the naming process for Bullock. Quote, "It's sad for me that we didn't get the opportunity to do that for him before he passed." End quote. The motion passed unanimously with Malia Hall absent. Also during the meeting, a presentation of data from the AUSD Family Engagement and Trust Survey and the California Healthy Kids Survey that focuses on the quality of relationships between families and school staff and between students and school staff, respectively. Finally, some procedural items, including approval of the 2025-26 Local Control and Accountability Plan and adoption of the 2025-26 budget. Public hearings for previously approved schematic designs for the Wood Middle and Otis Elementary projects, and approval of the 2025-26 contracts for Alameda Family Services. A complete look at AUSD's year-end wrap-up in Ken Durr's article at alamedapost.com/news. Alameda Prosecution and Public Rights Unit has released their 2024 annual report. Most notable in 2024, the housing enforcement case against the owners of Barnhill Marina. Learn more about the PPRU at alamedapost.com/news. As I've mentioned before in the postcast, if you're watching a Pixar film, odds are you're supporting your friends and neighbors. A large number of Pixar employees call Alameda home. Pixar's latest release, Elio, is no different. In fact, one of the film's three directors, Madeline Sharafian, is an Alameda native. This is her feature debut, although you might remember her as the director of the delightful Pixar short Burrow, about a little brown bunny who has extreme difficulties finding a new home. By the way, if you haven't seen Elio, it is a blast. It faced brutal competition at the box office. But if you're a film buff wondering where original content is, check out Elio. Not a sequel, not a remake, and really good. And you're supporting your neighbors. Along with checking out Elio, there's lots to do this weekend. Amanda Laird has rounded up events worthy of your attention in her weekly All-Around Alameda column. Friday night, Starlight Movies in the Parks returns to the Alameda Point Multipurpose Field for Despicable Me 4. The 2024 PG-rated family film will be shown starting around 8:15 to 8:45, depending on sunset. The event begins at 6:30 with games and crafts, food available for purchase, benefiting the Alameda Youth Committee and teen programs. Please bring your lawn chairs and blankets, but no barbecue grills, alcoholic beverages, or pets. Alameda Walks heads to Bay Farm Saturday at 9 a.m. Also on Saturday, join Bay Area Maker Farm for the Summer Solstice Celebration and Volunteer Day beginning at 10 a.m. Fourth Saturday of the month means the Myers House on Alameda Avenue is open for tours, one of the best bargains on Alameda for all of $5. Details and all around Alameda at alamedapost.com/alameda-life. While you're there, check out the winners of last weekend's 2025 Sandcastle and Sand Sculpture Contest held at Crown Beach. 492 participants creating 40 stunning sandcastles and 65 eye-catching sculptures. Pictures and a winner's list at alamedapost.com/alameda-life. 2 weekends ago, I made a trip to Maine to visit a dear friend, so my birthday and Father's Day celebrations were delayed. Last weekend, my family made up for it, and I got to try some of the newer local favorites that folks have been raving about, and they were worth the wait. Saturday night, dinner at Moxie Steakhouse on Park. Great food, great service. We split a selection of sides and the amazing bone-in tomahawk. On Sunday, my daughter surprised me by showing up on the doorstep with food from Fixque. It does live up to the hype. Some of the best brisket ever, and I should point out the side dishes don't get enough love. Great potato salad and coleslaw. No wonder the lines remain long. Thank you for your support of local news for Alameda. As a nonprofit news source, we rely on a mixture of grants, donations, tour revenue, and advertising to bring you the coverage you've come to expect. What we do is not without cost. Now more than ever, keeping up with local events is crucial. You can show your support with a one-time or recurring donation. We are a registered 501c3 nonprofit, which means your contribution is most likely tax-deductible. You can make a donation by heading to alamedapost.com/donate. We're also committed to full transparency. Look for grants, major donors, and sponsors on the About pull-down menu at alamedapost.com. I'd be remiss if I didn't take a moment to say rest in peace to a man who inspired many of us in journalism, Bill Moyers, who passed away this week at the age of 91. Remember, find us on all the usual social media outlets. Find the Postcast wherever you get your podcasts, or simply tell your smart device to play the Alameda Postcast podcast. I'm Scott Peeler, back next Friday with episode 161 of the Alameda Postcast.